Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Modular. Today we're going to be giving away the subject of this week's frame focus by taking a look at the Neutron Star augment for arguably one of the most popular frames in the game, Nova and Nova Prime. This, like most augments, is seriously simple. There's almost nothing to it. Literally all there is to it is that it allows you to detonate the remaining charges on Null Star, dealing 120 blast damage per charge over an 8 meter radius, including a 100% blast proc on every unit in that radius. The mod itself can be bought by rising to the rank of General with Steel Meridian, or the rank of Genius with Cephalon Suda, and spending 25,000 standing to purchase. So what do we actually do with this mod? Well, we can increase the explosion radius of the Neutron Star with range mods, and it is also definitely affected by power strength as well. So on the face of it, it fits very nicely into a Slover build. Slover is typically loads of duration with a bit of power strength, so the augment synergizes really well with that. But does it mean that it's bad in a Speed Nova build? Well, actually no, because you don't actually have to have the... yeah, it doesn't matter. It's not going to have the same amount of damage coming out of the augment for sure, but you are still going to have that 100% guaranteed blast proc, which you can use as an emergency get out of jail button. However, where it falls down a bit is the fact that the explosion radius is affected by range mods. Typically, most Novas mod with negative range due to M Prime, so they can focus on duration, meaning that this mod really suffers as a result. But does this mean I like the augment or not, and how does it actually perform? Well, honestly, I'm not that big of a fan of it. It's not really the fact that it requires the range to be affected, because that can be modded around if the augment's good enough to do it. But there is a couple of things that I dislike about it. Firstly, I really dislike the base ability a lot. I barely ever remember it exists, because it just doesn't do anything useful for me. In fact, it's worse than Psychic Bolts that I said I disliked in my last Nyx video. I hate the delay on each of the charges. I hate that unless you're trying to fight, unless you're actually trying to cast the ability mid-fight and then explode it to get the blast proc from the augment, the longer you leave it running, the less damage you're going to do when you actually need to recast it for the explosion. Even if you are only wanting the explosion and need to cast it mid-fight to try and get out of there, the animation is very, very slow, and that has got me killed a couple of times. So that emergency explosion to get out of there, because of the cast times, can be more hazardous than trying to just get out of there by doing something else like bullet jumping. But the worst thing for me, and while this is something that affects other augments that I still like, it's kind of a disaster for Neutron Star, and that is that certain animation states like the Ancient Hook Line, Heavy Gunner, or the Bombard's Knockdown will still nullify that blast proc. They'll just completely ignore it. It's to do with the animation states, and if they're in a certain animation, they will not be able to be crowd controlled. So as an escape ability, the fact that it can be so inconsistent can be an absolute killer. While something like Prolonged Paralysis also suffers from this as well, the fact that Valkyr can still take a hit and be just fine means it's less of a disaster than it is for Nova, because if that unit happens to be Bombard or a Heavy Gunner or even an Ancient with his hook line, she's just going to get shot in the face and potentially go down of that. Does this mean I think it's a terrible augment? Not really, no. It's definitely one that I'm sure people can do good things with, but for me, it's just too inconsistent to drop a mod slot for. That could be used, it could be better used buffing one of her other better skills. As always guys, many thanks for watching. I always love reading your feedback in the comments, and I try and respond to as many as I can, even if I don't get around to all of them, they are all read. And as always guys, many thanks for watching, and I shall see you in the next episode.